Hey, Highland County Real Estate. I'm here, Randy Butler. We're here at Hillsboro PD with the police chief, Mr. Darrin Goudy. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing well. How are you doing today?
Great. Hey, we've had several things. We've had fire safety. Thought it'd be kind of good just to give everybody some safety tips. On home safety, that kind of thing, or whatever.
Absolutely.
I know the big thing that comes to the top of my mind, you see them on YouTube all the time, the Amazon where they steal packages off the porches. Is that an issue here in town? I'm sure it is. Or is it?
We've had a couple complaints like that, on occasions that'll occur. And that's just a big thing is that, criminals will keep an eye out for that because, online's big these days. A lot of people are doing their shopping online, everything from, clothing to their groceries to general household items. That it's just the convenience these days. And, a lot of people will have these packages delivered while they're at work, and sometimes they can sit on the porch for several hours, and criminals will take advantage of that.
Sure.
The biggest thing is to do combat that is to talk to your neighbors. If you got a neighbor who's at home all the time, or a friend or a family member,
Sure.
is tell them, hey, I've got a package being delivered today. Can you pick that up for me? And hold on to it till I get home. You can also leave a note on your door for the UPS or the FedEx driver to say, hey, deliver it to such and such address next door. If you've got something set up, and then they'll deliver it and have it signed for. So
I know. Thinking back, it used to be your neighbors knew everything you did. They did when you come home, when you leave. And that's not so much the case anymore.
No, it's not, unfortunately. You used to have a lot more connection with the folks in your neighborhood, and nowadays people tend to keep to themselves, but not so much in this community. I've discovered that this community is pretty close-knit, and the neighbors do tend to keep an eye on things.
Sure.
I would say that we're kind of an anomaly these days.
Good. And you read about this a lot. Is cameras? Is that going overboard? To put
No,
cameras on
absolutely
front
not. In fact, it's been a big aid to us as a law enforcement agency as folks that do have cameras set up on their properties. And you've got everything from these days, those new doorbell cameras that are activated when someone just walks up on your porch or rings your doorbell.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can purchase those, and there's pretty economically priced. To the more elaborate systems to where you have them set up on the perimeters of your house to watch the entire property. But there's been cases I can think not too long after I first got on board here. We had a very suspicious car fire where a car was stolen, dumped in the alley, and set on fire. And we were able to make a lot of headway into our investigation on that because a local homeowner had cameras set up on their house, and we were able to gain access to that. So yeah, it's definitely an asset.
Yeah, good. Is there anything else as well, you really don't have to be a homeowner, but we all live somewhere in a home. Is there any other things we can do? I know it used to be, of course we do live in Hillsboro. It is an awesome community. I've lived here my whole life, and I can't imagine living anywhere else, but times have changed quite a bit. I know a lot of times we raised our family here in town, and I never even had a key the whole time we lived here. We didn't lock our house, but that's kind of not the case anymore.
Unfortunately not, and there's really no place that you can live nowadays to where you can feel comfortable doing that anymore, even a quiet community like ours. So yeah, I mean, there's basics that you can do. I highly recommend deadbolts. Just locking the doorknob on your doors is just not sufficient anymore. It's too easy to bypass those and defeat those. So I highly recommend deadbolts. Peepholes on your doors, or ways to be able to see out to see who's coming to your door or who's knocking, is a good way to combat, because you don't want to open the door to the wrong person, especially if you're someone, be it elderly, children, being at home alone. You want to be able to see who's knocking at the door and know whether or not you want to allow them access. Alarm systems are great as long as it's the right one, a quality one, not some knockoff. And then also just the exterior, like your vehicles. One of the biggest problems we have as a police department is vehicle break-ins, and you'll get them in rashes from time to time. And what these individuals will do at night is they'll go into a particular neighborhood and just try door handles. And the easiest way to defeat that is just lock your doors.
Right.
Lock your doors, and then anything valuable, keep it out of sight. Don't leave something laying exposed inside the interior vehicle that could tempt them. But a lot of times they'll just go down the street and try door handles, and those that are unlocked, they'll get in, they'll rummage through, see what they can steal, and they'll move on to the next one. Right. It's not that often that we'll find some vehicle who the lock has been popped or the window's been smashed for them to gain access, unless, again, there's something left out in plain view that they really, really, really want. Otherwise, they're just going to try a door handle and move on.
I know, and I've always been a car guy my whole life, and today's cars, you can't get in them like you used to. I mean, you have to be a professional and have the special tools. And
Yeah, they're
that
tough.
kind of thing. So, and then a lot of cars, there's alarms on cars too. If you bump them, they'll go off or get too close to them. Some of the more expensive cars, or even just the newer cars. So, you hate to admit that's the world we live in, but we do have to keep ourselves safe, keep everything locked. I know, we've all walked by the car and you see a cash box or something obviously of value, and you think, wow. I mean, you're not even looking for it. It kind of stands out when you see something like that. So,
Absolutely.
So genuine, or just simple. Just simple safety a lot of times will help a lot of things. Keep our stuff locked, have the neighbors watch out. I mean, sometimes we all talk about that nosy neighbor, but that nosy neighbor can really help you a lot of times. I know we used to live in a place, hey, you got home kind of late last night. It's like, how do you know that? Somehow they just know that, but that's good when something happens, that neighbor can, hey, here's what happened. I saw this guy or whatever the case may be. So a nosy neighbor sometimes can be good. So that's
Absolutely.
Awesome. Is there anything else that stands out to you that as whether just genuine safety here in town that we can look for or try to avoid or anything like that? Or
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just for personal safety, one thing that I'll just quickly emphasize is just situational awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. A lot of folks, and we're all guilty of it because, everybody's got busy lives. They got a lot of things going on. They're thinking about, the things they need, the tasks they need to accomplish at work, or they're thinking about what they've got to take care of when they get home, kids' activities, that sort of thing. And a lot of times you'll walk around and just be so preoccupied in your own thoughts and what you've got going on is that you're not aware of what's going on in your surroundings, or unfortunately, you're burying into that technological device in your hands, aka your smartphone, and you're not really aware. Just as a quick example, that tragic shooting we had at the bank in Cincinnati last year, where that individual just entered and started, firing his weapon, had a perfect example of not being aware of your surroundings. And a gentleman who worked there was coming down the elevator to the lobby where the incident was occurring, and he was so wrapped up on what he had going on, he didn't take note of the gunshots. The door opens to the elevator. He starts to exit. He's still not aware of what's going on, and it's not brought to his attention until the gunman noticed him and started firing a couple rounds at him, and the rounds impacted the elevator doors he was exiting, and then he all of a sudden realized it, dove back in, hit the button, and thankfully was able to get back to safety as rounds were hitting the elevator.
He cut on real quick.
Yeah. So just be aware of your surroundings, especially when you're out and about. Take notice when you walk into a store or as you're walking down the street. Just be aware of what's going on around you.
I guess be aware. I mean, you're trained to do that, and everybody here is trained to do that kind of thing. But just be aware of the things that stand out that don't look right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Mr. Goudy, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I hope this has been to help for anyone watching this. Just genuine, just safety, just being safety and being aware. So
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me.
Have a great day.
All right, sir.